I can just get off at the next, I can walk from there.
Meet Claire. She's 16, goes to high school, and looks completely normal from the outside. But inside, she is a ruthless vigilante. At the beginning of our story, we see Claire telling herself that everything she says and does is part of God's will. Throughout the film, she constantly repeats these lines to herself. Claire also has a recurring dream where she sees a mysterious man hunting a baby deer, followed by a vision of her own hands covered in blood. This violent obsession completely dominates her mind. By day, she is a student who lives in a small town with her grandmother, Gigi. Gigi used to be a very successful actress. One day, after finishing her classes, Claire is waiting at a bus stop to go home. Soon, two of her friends arrive and point to a notice on the board. They tell her that the bus service is temporarily closed, which means Claire has to walk all the way home on foot. She is about to leave when a stranger pulls up in a car and asks her for directions. At first, Claire hesitates. However, the stranger offers her money for her help and even shows her photos of his two daughters to seem trustworthy. Since he offers to give her a ride in exchange for the directions, Claire figures it isn't a bad deal and gets into his car. But once they are on the road, she notices how incredibly filthy the inside of the car is. Suddenly, a phone begins ringing loudly from his pocket, even though he had just claimed his phone was completely dead. To make matters worse, he locks all the car doors. This makes Claire highly suspicious, and she asks him to pull over at the next stop. Instead of stopping, he just keeps driving, confirming her worst fears. Without wasting any time, Claire wraps a seatbelt around his neck and strangles him. The driver loses control of the vehicle, causing the car to crash in a deserted area. Claire climbs out of the wrecked car and carefully wipes away all evidence of her presence. Then, she pulls a knife from her bag and finishes him off. Looking at this scene, it becomes clear that she wasn't the victim trapped with a killer, he was the one trapped with her. After returning home that night, she meticulously cleans the blood and evidence from her shoes, clothes, and tools. Her calm routine proves this isn't her first time. Hunting down and killing bad people is practically her hobby. When Claire gets inside, she finds her friend Juliana, who had been waiting for her for a long time. They were supposed to study together that night to prepare for an upcoming exam. Juliana asks her where she has been all this time. Claire makes up an excuse, claiming she was waiting for Juliana at Goat's Cafe and couldn't text because her phone battery was dead. Since it is already late, Juliana decides to head home after having dinner. But right before leaving, she mentions that Goat's Cafe was actually closed today for a private event, meaning Juliana knows Claire is lying to her. As soon as Claire goes up to her bedroom, she senses that someone else is there. In reality, she is seeing and talking to a ghost named Bob, a mailman she had accidentally killed some time ago. Bob's spirit warns her about the car crash from earlier, telling her that the incident will bring her serious trouble tomorrow, so she had better prepare herself. However, Claire doesn't pay much attention to his warning and tells him to go away. The next day at school, Claire's friends, Amity and Juliana, are talking about a girl named Teresa Holmes, who mysteriously disappeared from their school last year. They mention that the person behind her disappearance always used the same trick. He would show people photos of his daughters, ask for directions, and then kidnap them. After that, the missing girls were never seen again. Hearing this, Claire instantly realizes that the man she killed yesterday was likely that exact same kidnapper. In the next scene, Detective Timmons arrives at the school to investigate yesterday's murder. When he directly asks Claire where she was between 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. the previous day, her mind goes completely blank. Panicking inside, she quickly makes up a fake story on the spot and tells it to him. This instantly makes Detective Timmons suspect her. However, because he doesn't have any actual evidence, he has no choice but to let her go. On her way home, Claire crosses paths with Wade, who is her friend Amity's ex-boyfriend. Wade offers her a ride home and then invites her to a party at his house later that night. At first, Claire doesn't want to go, but she changes her mind after the ghost, Bob, convinces her to accept the invitation. When Claire arrives at the party that night, she runs into their mutual friend, Helga, who takes a few photos of them together. Claire then heads inside the party with Helga and has a great time. At one point, Claire and Helga share an intimate, close moment together. Wade notices this and is clearly unhappy about it. A little while later, Claire heads upstairs to use the washroom. Suddenly, the police arrived at the house because neighbors complained about the noise. Everyone panics, cuts the party short, and runs away. Claire runs into a nearby room to hide from the cops. While hiding, she accidentally knocks over some photos. When she picks them up, she is shocked to see pictures of various missing girls who are heavily drugged and unconscious. Looking closely, she recognizes one of the girls as Teresa, the classmate who disappeared last year. Claire instantly realizes that Wade must be connected to the kidnappers. Just then, Wade walks into the room and suspiciously asks her what she is doing there. Claire quickly lies and says she was just hiding from the police. Wade offers her a cigarette, but she turns it down and leaves on the pretext of heading home. The next day, Claire and Amity audition for a school play. While they are together, Claire randomly asks Amity if Wade was ever aggressive or forced her into doing things when they were dating. Instead of answering, Amity gets defensive and blames Claire for going to her ex-boyfriend's party behind her back. Later, Claire jumps onto the computer to do some research. She discovers that over the past few years, numerous girls have mysteriously vanished from their campus, and not a single one has been found. Claire goes straight to Juliana to warn her about what she discovered. She tells Juliana that she found photos of missing girls lying unconscious in Wade's bedroom. However, Juliana refuses to believe it. She insists that he never takes drugs or gets drunk, so there is no way photos like that could exist in his house. Instead of listening, Juliana turns on Claire, accusing her of only going to Wade's party to hook up with him. Frustrated and angry, Claire leaves. Both of her attempts to warn her friends about the danger Wade poses have completely failed. Later at school, Claire spots Detective Timmons walking down the hallway. Wanting to avoid him at all costs, she ducks inside the school theater and locks the door behind her. Once inside, she runs into the director of the school play, Mr. Edward. During their conversation, the director surprisingly offers Claire the male lead role in the play, acting opposite her friend Amity. Claire accepts the role without hesitation. Meanwhile, Detective Timmons is still outside, knocking heavily on the locked theater door. Claire tries to slip out of the building quickly, but Timmons catches up to her. Next, they end up in the dean's office, where Timmons questions her again about the murder. He reveals that a witness saw a girl with red hair at the bus stop on the day of the crime. Claire sticks firmly to her story and repeats her entire schedule for that day. She stays completely adamant, claiming she was just waiting at the bus stop and never saw any mysterious man. However, Timmons points out a massive 3-hour gap in her timeline, proving that she is lying. But because he still doesn't have any solid physical evidence to arrest her, he gives her a stern warning and lets her go. When Claire gets home, she begins losing her mind thinking about why photos of her friends lying unconscious were hidden in Wade's house. Deeply stressed, she drinks heavily to cope. As she enters a state of intoxication, she grows even more obsessed to solve this mystery as soon as possible. Following the Ghost Bob's suggestion, Claire breaks into an abandoned house to look for clues. Inside, she discovers a video camera alongside photographs of herself and several other girls. She instantly recognizes them as the photos Helga took at Wade's party. This confirms her suspicions about Wade and Helga. She realizes the two of them are definitely cooking up something dark and criminal together. The next day at school, after rehearsal, Helga comes over to talk to her. But instead of talking, Claire punches Helga square in the face and warns her to stay away. Helga is completely confused and tries to stop her, but Claire walks off. On her way home, Claire receives terrible news. Her best friend, Juliana, has just vanished. Claire is devastated, filled with regret that despite her repeated warnings, Juliana refused to listen and is now trapped in serious danger. Meanwhile, back at the house, a major problem arises. Claire's grandmother, Gigi, is looking through her room and finds a bloody knife hidden in a drawer, the exact weapon Claire used in the murders. When Claire gets home, she learns that a curfew has been imposed on the city, meaning she cannot go out to find Juliana. This leads to a heated argument with her grandmother. Gigi pulls out the bloody knife she found and demands to know what Claire has been doing with it. Claire insists that she cannot tell her the truth. Terrified for her safety, Gigi forbids her from leaving the house, explaining that she already lost her own daughter. Desperate, Claire slips out anyway and goes to a church. She kneels and apologizes to the Virgin Mary for her violent actions, begging for guidance to find the right path. When she looks up at the statue, she sees a vision of Juliana's face replacing Mary's, crying out for help. This vision gives Claire a clear idea of what she must do next. That night, Claire breaks into Helga's house to confront him. She demands to know who ordered him to take those photos and why a camera containing pictures from Wade's party was sitting in an abandoned basement. Terrified, Helga explains that his camera was actually stolen at the party and he never saw those photos. Claire then shows her one of the pictures of the unconscious girls. Helga insists he didn't take it, but he recognizes the background. He explains that it is a specific house where he once did a modeling photo shoot through an ad agency. After grabbing the address from Helga, Claire heads straight to the house, hoping Juliana is locked inside. When she knocks, a strange man opens the door. Claire deliberately acts like a stranger, pretending she is just an innocent girl looking for her missing friend. She uses the excuse of needing to use the washroom to get inside the house. Once indoors, she asks the man for a glass of water. Even though she knows it could be highly dangerous, she plays along. Predictably, the man secretly slips a strong sedative into her drink. Claire pretends to be clueless, swallows the water in one gulp, and immediately blacks out. The man carries her unconscious body down to the basement and ties her up. Inside the dark room, she finds her friend Juliana, who is already imprisoned and tied to a chair. After a short while, Claire regains consciousness. She overhears the man talking on the phone to an influential client named Gibbs. From his conversation, she discovers that this captor is named Randall Morton, and he is the identical twin brother of Joe Morton, the predator she killed in the car crash a few days ago. Claire learns the horrifying truth. The two twin brothers ran a highly organized human trafficking business together, kidnapping young girls and supplying them to wealthy clients like Gibbs. She also overhears that following Joe's death, a new recruit has recently joined their sinister group. Randall wraps up his phone call by ordering a transport truck to pick up the two girls, which is scheduled to arrive in exactly 1 hour. While Randall is distracted, Claire finishes cutting herself free. She grabs a pair of scissors from a nearby table, sneaks up on the guard standing next to her, and stabs him straight in the stomach. Chaos erupts as she systematically takes down the rest of the traffickers one by one. By the end of the brawl, Claire manages to get her hands on a pistol. However, Randall quickly reacts by holding the scissors against the unconscious Juliana's neck. Claire wants to fire, but she can't risk shooting Randall without hitting her friend. Just then, the sound of a police siren echoes from outside. Claire screams for help, but her relief turns to absolute horror when the officer walks in. It is none other than Detective Timmons. He was part of the trafficking ring the entire time. During the tense standoff, Randall suddenly gets aggressive. Before he can react, Claire shoots him in the shoulder, completely overpowering and knocking him unconscious. Seeing the tables turn, the corrupt Detective Timmons takes the opportunity to turn around and flee the scene. Claire quickly frees Juliana from her restraints, handles the remaining chaos, and alerts the press, completely exposing the town's dark trafficking racket to the media. When Claire finally returns home, a horrific surprise is waiting for her. Detective Timmons is already inside her house, and he has brutally murdered her grandmother, Gigi. Timmons lays out his dark plan, offering Claire a deal to work with him and they can run this together. He reveals he knows she was the one who killed Joe Morton and the mailman Bob. Devastated and furious, Claire tells him that he has officially taken the last thing she had left to lose. She lunges at him with her knife, but Timmons dodges the blow. A brutal, violent struggle breaks out between them. Timmons eventually overpowers Claire, chokes her, and throws her body into the swimming pool to drown. Believing she is finally dead, Timmons turns around to leave. But suddenly, Claire rises from the water like a ghost, sneaks up behind him, snaps his neck, and ends his life once and for all. After the chaos settles and things slowly get back to normal, Juliana returns to school. Later, while Claire is in the dressing room getting ready for the school play, the ghost of Bob appears to visit her one last time. Mourning, Claire tells him that her grandmother Gigi is dead. Bob gently replies that he already knows, and that Gigi is looking down on her happily from heaven. However, Bob drops one final bombshell. He warns Claire that the dark mystery of Oak Street isn't over yet, and that she still has one last job left to do. Before vanishing into thin air, he whispers a secret code into her ear. Claire quickly realizes the code is actually the passcode to Amity's phone. She sneaks over, enters the code, and unlocks the device. Digging through the messages, she discovers a horrific truth. The brand new recruit that Randall had mentioned on the phone was her own friend, Amity. Amity had been working for the mysterious kingpin, Gibbs, all along. Fueled by absolute rage, Claire walks over to the stage props. She grabs the fake prop knife meant for the play and secretly replaces it with her actual, razor-sharp murder weapon. As the curtains rise and the play begins, Claire steps out into her position on stage. A crimson-red spotlight shines directly onto her face, illuminating eyes filled with pure, vengeful fury. The message is clear: she is about to permanently execute the very last chapter of Oak Street. And with that chilling cliffhanger, the movie ends.